The blueprint for building a $30 billion media empire, it turns out, begins with total financial ruin. In 1996, Marvel filed for bankruptcy, a case study in corporate collapse. Less than 15 years later, it was acquired by Disney for over $4 billion, a deal now considered one of the greatest bargains in entertainment history. This wasn't a simple recovery. It was a fundamental reinvention. The very event that should have destroyed the company, bankruptcy, became the catalyst that unlocked its true value. It forced a brutal reckoning with a broken strategy, proving that the path to unimaginable wealth required first losing everything. To understand how Marvel engineered this turnaround, you first have to understand the flawed logic that made the company's initial collapse not just possible, but inevitable. The strategy was textbook vertical integration. Control the entire chain, from creation to checkout. Marvel's leadership, drunk on a booming market, executed an aggressive acquisition spree. Trading card companies, a sticker manufacturer, even their own exclusive distributor. The pitch deck practically glowed with projections of uncontested dominance. The problem with building a fortress out of one material is that if that material burns, the whole thing burns with it. Most assets Marvel acquired fed the same engine, collector demand. When that engine seized, the entire machine locked up. Speculative inventory, once logged at premium valuations, became worthless paper, literally overnight. The carnage was immediate. The market for back-issue comics and trading cards didn't cool. It evaporated, losing over 75% of its peak value in a matter of months. Revenue from Marvel's publishing arm plummeted as its captive distribution channels seized up. And when your distribution is captive, there's no outside lifeline to grab. The immense debt from those acquisitions became an anchor, dragging the company toward insolvency. Operationally, Marvel was paralyzed. The creative core, the legendary bullpen, was gutted by mass layoffs. Top artists and writers, people who had built entire universes from scratch, watched a management team obsess over spreadsheets instead of stories. So they left. They fled for independent rivals who still cared about the craft. You can restructure a balance sheet. You cannot restructure lost talent overnight. What was once a vibrant hub of modern mythology became a hollowed-out shell. Iconic characters, Spider-Man, the X-Men, the Avengers, trapped inside a corporate death spiral, their potential monetized into dust. With the stock relegated to the pink sheets and creditors circling like vultures over a carcass, a company that had defined American imagination was now a punchline on Wall Street. The board faced one final, desperate question: who would gamble their career on a corpse? They found someone. The fight for Marvel's future was not a creative debate, it was a legal cage match between creditors. One faction, holding $70.2 million in secured debt, wanted liquidation, recover pennies on the dollar, and walk away. The other side saw a flicker of something more and maneuvered for control. Two visions of a corpse, neither particularly optimistic. Into this proxy war stepped two executives from the toy industry. Not comic book veterans. Turnaround specialists who saw the bankruptcy court not as an ending, but as a crowbar. Their diagnosis was brutal and immediate. Marvel was not a publishing company that owned characters. It was a character company trapped in a failing publishing business. One sentence. 5 words of distinction. And it would redefine a $100 billion industry. This singular insight changed everything. While the old board had obsessed over printing schedules and distribution margins, the new leadership looked past the ink, past the paper. They saw a portfolio of over 1,000 characters being licensed for pennies, locked inside unprofitable, long-term deals that actively destroyed value. Marvel was paying people to take its gold. The first move was not to create, but to cull. They began severing these parasitic agreements, sacrificing immediate, trivial revenue to reclaim control over their core assets. Imagine a surgeon cutting away healthy-looking tissue because it feeds a tumor. The proposal outlined a short-term revenue dip, but a long-term strategic recovery. This active, operator-led governance was a stark departure from the passive board that had overseen the decline. It was the first structural pivot away from the abyss. The new team now held the keys, but the engine was still on fire. They had won control by convincing a judge they had a viable plan, but securing power in a courtroom is one thing. Implementing a strategy so counterintuitive it seemed to abandon the company's very identity? That takes a different kind of courage entirely. The pivot had to hurt before it could work. And the next move would hurt the most. The new strategy was a tectonic shift. Marvel would stop being a publisher that licensed its characters. It would become an intellectual property bank that monetized them directly. This meant dismantling the old model. A tangle of low-value deals that generated trivial income? Cut. In its place, the company consolidated its film rights, betting everything on high-stakes partnerships with major studios. Within publishing, the focus narrowed. They stopped chasing mass-market volume. Instead, creative teams pivoted to premium graphic novels and event-driven series, targeting the dedicated collector audience that still remained. The most audacious move was in financing. To escape a Hollywood system that consistently undervalued its assets, Marvel became its own studio. It leveraged film rights to its own characters as collateral for a massive debt facility. A self-produced slate was born. It was a bet the company moment, using what others had dismissed to build a machine that captured the financial upside. The balance sheet began a dramatic reversal. High-margin licensing and development revenues climbed to $117.5 million, a figure that dwarfed the old publishing business, proving the IP-focused model worked. This mechanism was a masterpiece on a spreadsheet. It turned intangible characters into bankable assets. It restructured Marvel from a cost-heavy manufacturer into an asset-light royalty engine. But a financial model is not a business. The debt was real, the risk was absolute, and the entire strategy hinged on one unproven assumption: that a bankrupt comic book company could produce a blockbuster film on its own. The theory was about to meet its first and most critical real-world test. The first film from the new studio did not just succeed, it shattered expectations. That single opening weekend was the moment the theoretical model became a cash-generating reality, proving that a self-financed creative engine could compete with established giants. The entire bet, the debt, the risk, the decision to become a studio was instantly vindicated. This was not just a hit movie. It was proof of concept for the entire IP bank strategy. The financial engine, once sputtering in a bankruptcy court, had roared to life. The stock, once nearly worthless, began a climb that reflected this new reality, as investors finally understood the company's true value was not in paper, but in its characters. The film's box office, which would ultimately exceed $1 billion globally, triggered a predictable and profitable cascade of value across the company. Every dollar earned at the multiplex generated multiples in ancillary revenue. Consumer product sales surged as a new generation of fans demanded merchandise. Publishing saw renewed interest, with film audiences driven back to the source material. The characters, now global icons, became anchors for new media and theme park attractions. The model was working exactly as designed. A blockbuster film acting as a high-powered marketing event for the entire portfolio of assets. It was a flywheel, spinning faster with each new release, compounding financial returns. Competitors, once dismissive, scrambled to replicate the strategy, initiating an industry-wide wave of consolidation. The final validation, however, came not from a box office report, but from an acquisition. Disney paid $4.2 billion, not for a struggling comic book company, but for a flawless, repeatable engine of value creation. The deal cemented the turnaround as one of history's most successful. But beneath the superheroics lies a cold, replicable system. Strip away the cinematic universe, and a playbook for reviving any dying business remains. The turnaround from bankruptcy to a media empire valued at nearly $30 billion was not luck. It was architecture. 4 steps, a framework so precise it can be lifted from Marvel and dropped onto any dying business hiding a buried gem. Step 1. Find the irreducible asset. The skeleton beneath the wreckage. For Marvel, it was never the comics. It was the characters. Thousands of them. Owned. Iconic. Dormant. Step 2. Radically rebuild the business model around that asset. Kill the expensive machinery of printing and distribution. Pivot to an engine of licensing, film rights, merchandise, direct monetization. Stop selling stories alone. Start selling permission. Step 3. Finance the proof of concept with external capital. Marvel didn't bet its own balance sheet. It leveraged film rights as collateral to use other people's money. The risk was outsourced. The reward was not. Step 4. And this is the one competitors always miss. Let creative excellence compound financial returns. A licensing model without a hit is just a logo on a lunchbox. Quality became the ultimate economic moat. Each great film didn't just earn at the box office. It reinforced the brand, which sold more merchandise, which funded the next cycle. A flywheel, powered by craft. This is how a portfolio of characters, once trapped in insolvency, became the engine of a cinematic universe. Not by accident, by design. The playbook succeeds because it treats characters not as disposable content, but as durable sources of human value. For any legacy business holding an undervalued core asset, a brand, a patent library, a catalog of stories, Marvel's recovery is the blueprint. The right framework can unlock growth from the edge of collapse. But here's the question the next era demands. As algorithms and AI begin generating infinite content, faster, cheaper, endlessly, does banking on authentic, human-created intellectual property become outdated? Or does it become the only thing that matters?
Learn the next winning strategy.